Okay, let's solve a mystery that pretty much affects all of us. From the biggest companies on the planet right down to you, standing in a grocery store aisle staring at an empty shelf. We're going to break down exactly why the stuff we buy every day can feel so, well, chaotic.
You know the feeling, right? You walk into a store, you've got your list, you know exactly what you need, and you're met with this. It's just so frustrating.
One day, everything's perfect. The aisles are totally stocked, it's a picture of call, everything's right where it should be.
And then, boom, it feels like it happened overnight. The toilet paper, the hand sanitizer, that one specific type of pasta sauce you love, all of it, just gone. And you're standing there thinking, wait, did literally everyone on Earth decide to buy this exact same thing at the exact same time?
Well, it turns out it's not just some cosmic bad luck. This whole boom and bust cycle you see as a shopper is actually a really well-known and super disruptive force in the global economy. It has a name, the Bullwhip Effect. And the name is perfect. Just imagine cracking a real whip. You make a small, easy flick with your wrist, right? That little flick creates a tiny wave, but as that wave travels down the leather, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it ends with that loud, sharp frack. That is exactly what happens in a supply chain.
And the story behind this is actually pretty fascinating. The name Bullwhip Effect was coined by execs at Procter & Gamble back in the 90s. They were looking at Pampers diapers, and they just could not figure it out. The number of babies being born was rock steady, super predictable. But the orders they were getting for diapers, they were all over the place. Huge spikes, then massive drops. But get this, the guy who actually figured out the mechanics of it was Jay Forrester from MIT way back in 1961. That's why you'll sometimes hear it called the Forrester effect.
So how does this whole thing work? Honestly, the best way to think about it is that old childhood game, telephone. You start with a simple message, in this case, what customers are actually buying. So you, the consumer, buy a few extra things. No big deal. The retailer sees this tiny little sales spike and thinks, I'll order a little extra, just to be safe. While the wholesaler sees that bigger order and goes, whoa, maybe this is a new trend, so they order even more from the manufacturer. By the time that signal gets all the way up to the people who supply the raw materials, that original whisper about a 5% increase in demand has turned into a distorted, panic shout for 40% more product.
And that brings us to the craziest part of all this. The bullwhip effect isn't usually caused by one person making some massive blunder. Nope, it's the result of lots of different people, all along the chain, making what they think are totally rational, smart decisions based on the little slice of information they can see.
Okay, so culprit number one, how companies forecast demand. See, each link in that chain isn't looking at you, the final customer. They're just looking at the orders they get from the guy right below them. So when they see an order spike, they update their forecast and they add a little safety stock, just in case. But every single company adds its own safety stock, so these buffers just stack up on top of each other, and the real demand signal gets totally lost.
Second, something called order batching. Now, to save money on shipping, companies will often group their orders together. So instead of ordering a small amount every day, they'll place one giant order once a week or even once a month. For their supplier, this creates this totally artificial feast or famine cycle. It's dead quiet for weeks, and then suddenly a massive, urgent order drops out of the sky that has nothing to do with how people are actually buying the product day to day.
Third one, sales and promotions. A buy one, get one free deal is awesome for us shoppers, but it is an absolute nightmare for the supply chain. Why? Because it makes us all buy in bulk when the price is low. This creates a huge fake spike in demand, which is then followed by a long, quiet period while we all use up the stuff we stockpiled. The factory has no idea there was a promotion. All they see is a massive, confusing surge in orders.
This quote just nails it. The whole system gets trapped in this artificial boom and bust cycle. And this isn't just a theory. There is a classic, almost hilarious real-world example of how badly this can go wrong.
You have to hear this story. So back in the 90s, Volvo had a big problem. Way too many green cars that nobody wanted. The sales team did the logical thing, right? They ran a massive sale to get them off the lots, and it worked. Sales of green cars went through the roof. The problem? Nobody bothered to tell the factory why they were selling. The folks on the manufacturing line just saw the sales numbers and thought, holy cow, green is the hot new color. So what do? They ramped up production of even more green cars. They ended up with a bigger mess than when they started. It's a perfect example of what happens when one hand doesn't know what the other is doing.
And the last big cause? Oh, we have all seen this one up close. It's called shortage gaming. When people are afraid a product is going to run out, they panic. They'll order way, way more than they actually need, just trying to guarantee they get some of it. It's exactly what happened with toilet paper in 2020. Then, once the panic is over, people cancel all those extra orders, leaving the manufacturers holding the bag with a massive surplus.
So you've got all these individual decisions all piling on top of each other, creating this huge chain reaction. But what's the actual cost? What happens when that bullwhip finally cracks?
Well, the distortion is just staggering. This chart gives you a pretty good idea. A tiny, almost invisible 5% bump in what we're actually buying in the store can easily get twisted and magnified into a 40% surge in orders by the time it hits the factory. And the fallout from this is huge. You end up with warehouses packed with stuff nobody wants, which costs a fortune to store. Or the opposite happens. The stuff people do want is out of stock, so you lose sales. It leads to wasted money on shipping, crazy production schedules, and it puts a massive strain on relationships with suppliers, and at the end of the day, it just kills profitability.
And we are talking about real money here. Remember that Pampers story? By overproducing diapers based on that messed up demand signal, Procter & Gamble lost an estimated $30 million. That's the power of the bullwhip.
But okay, here's the good news. This isn't some unbreakable law of the universe. The bullwhip effect can absolutely be tamed, and the solution isn't about some fancy new algorithm, it's about something much simpler: collaboration. So how do you actually calm this thing down? It really comes down to 4 key moves. First, and this is the big one, share real-time data. If the factory can see what's actually being scanned at the checkout, they don't have to guess anymore. Second, break up those giant monthly orders into smaller, more frequent ones. Third, try to keep prices stable and avoid those crazy sales that create artificial demand. And fourth, just make everything faster. Shorten the time between an order and a delivery to make the whole system way more agile.
And of course, today's technology is a massive help. AI and machine learning tools are incredible at sifting through mountains of data to create really accurate forecasts. They can spot trends we'd miss and automatically adjust for things like sales promotions, helping to keep the whole supply chain running way more smoothly. Which kind of leaves us with one last, really interesting question. In a world with all this amazing AI and big data, the bullwhip effect still happens. So maybe the real problem isn't the systems we've built, but us, the people inside them? Is it just our own human nature, our fear of running out, our tendency to panic, that's the real engine driving all this chaos? It's something to think about the next time you see an empty shelf.